Greetings everyone, BJ Weiler here with you for part 2 of our tips and tricks video segments, I guess you can call them, for Stronghold Kingdoms. So we are back here in World 6 with our farming village. See what we're doing here. Abandoned camps, of course, as you can see, since part 1 we have lost all our beginner bonuses and stuff. But neither here nor there. What we are going to be talking about this time around here is consumption and commerce. Consumption is what your peasants are eating and drinking. Brewery, apple goods, that kind of stuff. And commerce is how to bypass a little bit of research with your trading. A little trick in case you need to send stuff to another parish. Anyway, let's get on with our research here. So this here, we're doing this farming. Oh look, I still have a point left. So as we can see here, and I probably should do Castellation next, because we've got to do defenses at some point. You remember last episode, or last part 1, mentioned regardless of which path you're going to take, a farmer, a theologian, or a warrior, Castellation, defenses, and fortification. As you can see, we have maxed out fortification, which will allow us to build the Great Tower. Essentially, the Great Tower is the strongest tower in the game, and quite necessary to build a very strong castle. Now, of course, you can see our castles and seen other castles in our ongoing gameplay series. But tip and trick here to building your castle. You have the large tower and the great tower. Essentially what you want to do is start with large towers around the perimeter here. So I'm not going to be able to build that many towers now. Each tower has to be one tile apart from another tower, and of course from the gatehouse. So I'll be able to build 2. So as you can see, the dark gray line on the inside of the stone walls there is basically the limit of the interior part of the keep. You can place troops there, but you can't place anything else from that dark spot on inwards, as you can see. So this is basically for troops only. So essentially like this, and then of course you just go around the perimeter with the great towers. So that'll get you some early going defenses there. Okay, so that's that. So once you get the interior part done, what I generally like to do then is go through the perimeter here. Now, of course, we've mentioned this before in other videos. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can put an outer wall, stone wall out here, and if you place archers all along the entire perimeter of that wall, your castle sort of becomes unscoutable. If you have more troops inside, it's almost a guarantee to be unscoutable. Of course, that is based on your level. To build slightly stronger, what you want to do is throw the towers down. In fact, let me do that. So throw the towers down. Of course, you'll have a little bit of walls, and as long as you have 400 troops within your castle, be they on the towers, the walls, or whatever, it gives the same effect as having archers all along the perimeter. So a trick to doing this is you'll always want great towers in the corner. Generally what you're going to do, now of course I haven't researched defenses yet, so I don't have the barracks. And what you do, once you build that part up, you want to throw some barracks down in one of the corners here. Of course, you want to leave enough room for you to build your towers, and then you'll want to build your towers around those corners to offer a little bit of protection to your barracks. But a good trick here for estimating where to placement, great towers in each of the corners, but you don't have to start with that as long as you leave enough space. So great towers are 5 tiles across one side. So this is 5 tiles here. So what you want to do is leave a space of 5 tiles. Let's do it this way. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 6th, and here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the 6th. Okay, so your great tower is going to go here. So what you want to do, you can do first, generally what I try to do, is build your large towers. You build one here, and then one here, and same thing on this side. Of course, you leave room for your great tower, and you build one there, and you build one there, and your great tower fits in there. So essentially what you do, you need 4 large towers along the perimeter here. So generally this is what I'll do. I'll build 2 in each of the corners, and then everything else at that point becomes a great tower. And essentially what you have is a perimeter of towers with only, of course, with the necessary 1 tile of space in between each one. So that builds up a very strong outer defense. And then of course you just basically circle on in until you reach your interior again. And again, as you can see, that's pretty much what we've done for most of our castles on USA 2. I did not take, so we want to cancel that because we don't need to do that really. This is just our test village. So little tips and tricks for building up your defenses. So let's get in here. Let's research our castellation. Since of course we do not have a liege lord and we do not have troops, this is of course a farming village. Can recruit peasants though by default. So what we are going to do here now is check our storage. We of course are maxed out. So research, as you can see, most of the research up to this point, I am now a peasant, so I have ranked up a bit. I am level 4 peasant. As you can see, I can actually rank up again. Peasant still only 1 level of peasant. Perhaps serf. I think serf, maybe? We'll see. Anyway. What we've done here, farming. Of course, we've got our orchard management, which we did by accident, but as you can see, we've leveled up. Boop, boop, boop. Haven't leveled up plow, but what we did is level up animal husbandry. That way, we can get in with pig breeding once we hit level 7, and level 8 gives us wheat production, access to bread, access to meat, and of course, plow will eventually give us access to vegetable cropping. So at this point, as a serf, again, level 6. At this point, as a serf, what I can begin doing, let's go back to education. So, level 5, farming rather, level 5. So, again, you know, not to level 7 for that, not to level 8. So I can continue to either rank up a little bit of my industry, but of course I'm already maxed out here, or rank up again with my defenses. So in defenses will help if you have liege lord troops. Again, the barracks allow you to place more soldiers in your castle, and then you get other defenses. Of course, the rank of barracks makes them a little bit stronger. And again, once we hit serf, we want to start doing diplomacy. So if we were to rank up as serf, my next bit of, as level 5, my next 3 research points, 1 would definitely go into diplomacy, and I would definitely do the first 2 levels here. Actually, I would do just the first, I would just do the first level of defenses, because then what I would do, I would go here to education, and rank up mathematics. So that, you know, it helps you reduce research time, but what it does is open up engineering, which increases your storage type. So as a farmer, you definitely want to have as much storage as you can. So once you hit surf, again, you'll want to start working on your storage capacity. And of course, you'll also be getting into merchant guilds. So work on your storage capacity, start doing your diplomacy, and of course your defenses. So basically 1, 2, 3, or your next rank again would be, so rank 7, so you wouldn't even have to worry about diplomacy. So figure your next 2 rank ups as surf. In fact, you know what, let's rank up now. There we go, we are a surf. So villain, so again, surf has 1 level. So surf has 1 level. So these next 3 research points I got here now, I would do diplomacy first, since we are going to be there once castellation is done. So I throw in diplomacy, I'd throw in defenses, pop in over here, do mathematics, rank up to villain, and the next 3 would be mathematics again, engineering, and I don't even really need defenses at this point because I don't have iron. So that point, so the next 3 would be mathematics again. That way it opens up the merchant guilds, and then I would do engineering to begin increasing my overall capacity. I would not do anything down here yet with any of these until I actually max out this stockpile capacity, because doing this increases the capacity for all your resources. So up each one of them first is a better method. And then after that, you basically want to be spreading yourself out. You want to get into merchants. That way you have merchant guilds to sell. You'll want to get into your iron mining. And more than likely, you'll also want to start your banqueting, as well as rank up your farming. So basically, once we are able to rank up to level 7, your first thing to do would be to get pig breeding, and your other research points would go into iron mining, and again, your stockpile capacity, and probably start throwing a couple of points here and there into the banqueting goods, which gives you additional honor and goods that you can trade and sell and that kind of stuff. And so essentially that's how you're going to work it as a farmer. So the important things at this point, once you get your basic defenses down, of course, as you always, once you are available, throw points into your castellation and your diplomacy and your defenses at this point as you can. But as a farmer, you're going to want to, of course, concentrate on ranking up your farming capacity, your storage capacity, and of course your industrial and banqueting capacity. So let's take a pause here so we can get into one of our other. And here we are on USA 2. I actually wanted to go to USA 3, so let's do that. Alright, there we go. Now we are on USA 3. See anything I can scout out a bit here necessary? Nope. Okie dokie. So let's take a look at this. Flourishing trade. Yay, we completed this quest. So as a matter of fact, pop over here. The quest failed because I forgot about it. So you can fail a quest. So if you end up failing a quest, basically progress stops for that quest. What you need to do is abandon the quest. It'll come back down in here, and then you can just start the quest again. And of course it starts from the beginning, so any progress you had made is lost and you get to start all over again. But so this time we remembered about it, we completed, we can get our 100 faith points. So little tips and tricks on quests there. If you abandon quests here, such as we did here, which is the villain quest for destroying a paladin's castle, which we're not going to be close to getting anytime soon. So this basically gives you a little bit more room here to look at the quests you can do. If you fail a quest, simply abandon it, comes back down here, and you basically restart it until you can actually complete it. Again, as you can see, we did that, finally completed. So tips and trick there. So if you are going monk, if you're going theologian, that's what we are doing here. Again, you want to make sure you focus on ranking up the important things. So here we are, Castellation. Here we are, Alderman. So ranked up quite a bit here. Alderman, we have our second village. So you will actually need some military research as well, in addition to Castellation. As you can see, diplomacy, we are as far along with diplomacy. And as you can see, I haven't done too much with defenses. Again, just the first point in there, just to get the barracks. In order to place barracks, increase the troops. I'll be defensive enough until I get my primary goals taken care of. Fortification, as you can see, maxed out. Now here we go, command. In order to gain villages, you need to have captains. So leadership opens up when you become an alderman, which is rank 12, I believe. Rank 12, so leadership opens up. So as soon as you become alderman and can rank up leadership, you will want to do that either as a farmer or as a theologian here. Rank up leadership, rank up captains, and as you can see, that's as far as I've gotten. So basically that's as far as I need. Now if you're going to cap villages, which is generally a warrior thing, but whether you're a farmer or a theologian, you can cap villages too. You will of course want to rank up command, which I've done here to get a bit of some minimal troops. Of course I've done this also to help defend my castle, but in case I need to cap a castle or something like that, I've done that. Of course, I would need more points in if I'm going to capture a strong castle, but beginner castles, basically archers, peasants with a captain, can generally handle it. I actually bought the second village by buying a charter such as this. So basically gold if you're buying a charter within your same parish, 10,000 gold for your second village essentially. So as a theologian, again, the general military stuff, as you can see here, I have not done anything in industry except for iron mining. So just threw something in tools that we can get iron mining going. I have done banqueting to help gain points or honor good, a way to gain honor aside from the ways we talked about in the last episode. So because as a theologian, I get less potential honor than a warrior does. So banqueting, again, important to throw a few points in there as you're going on. Again, in order to recruit troops, you need some of the supplies. So a few points in there, just a minimum amount of points in order to get the resources going. Again, here farming, minimal stuff. Again, plow just to get some wheat production, get some extra food in here. Again, pig farming to, in fact, when I became alderman, one of the sub ranks here, as you can see, these are the sub ranks we were talking about before. So I am alderman 3rd class. I've got 2 more ranks to go. This is 2nd class, 1st class, and then this one represents ranking up to gentleman. So again, minimum, that way I can help with popularity and making sure I got enough food for my peasants, which we'll be talking about shortly. But the primary thing here is education. Again, merchant guilds, threw some points into merchant guilds, that way I can trade between my villages at this point. So once you get your 2nd village, that's basically when you really want to make sure you get some additional points into your merchanting. That way you can trade to your new village and help build it up quicker. Again, engineering, working on my capacity. I accidentally bumped up stockpile capacity. Actually wanted to go here, but I got some minimal research points in there. Of course, we'll be ranking it up a little bit more. But here, my main focus for most of the research points I've gotten as I'm ranking up has been theology. Well, first arts, so I can get to theology. And again, theology is locked behind, I think, level 7, level 8, something like that. Whatever level. As soon as I could get to theology, I started throwing points in here. So as you can see, I am up to 10, getting 60 points a day. I still got, 6 more ranks to go. And as I mentioned the first episode of our tips and tricks, as soon as I can get, start getting theology going, as soon as I got down here, started ranking up monks, pilgrimage, baptism. Have not quite yet gotten the marriage. We're going to start throwing some points in there. That way we can begin blessings. And really the most benefit to blessings is when you can hit 24 hours. That way it gives you a whole day. And so each monk will give 1 point. Again, without using cards. You can use cards to up the amount of blessing and that type of stuff. But just playing it vanilla style, 1 monk gives you 1 blessing point. So you want to make sure it lasts a while. And of course you want to make sure you have enough monks heading out. You can recruit up to 8 monks. And of course you want to make sure they're speeding up. So right now, again, working on theology here. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So my next rank up, I will be getting 3 points. Generally what I am going to be doing. So I think diplomacy, I'm good until I hit gentleman. Defenses right now, because I have a liege lord, so I can sort of minimize the defenses for the time being. So my next point will probably be into castellation. I'll have 2 points after that. So I will more than likely be throwing another point into pilgrimage, and I will probably be throwing a point. I will either marriage or ordination. That way I can start ranking up blessings. So figure my next 2 ranks. So figure my next 6 points, my next 6 to 9 points. I will have castellation. And that's really all I need to worry about military-wise. So I'll throw it into castellation. I really don't need to do anything here. Because, yeah. And it is wine production, my second village. So I don't need to really do anything here. So get my castellation. And then pretty much all of my following points. I'll probably throw one into engineering here. But all the rest of my points will be going into pilgrimage, marriage, and probably ordination at that point. So that's, figure about 8 more points will go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So there's 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll have, for that point, 16 hours of blessing. And go from there. So after that, so once I hit gentleman, I'll probably throw some more points into there. Again, confession and stream unction, not really necessary. Oh, I will throw one into Eucharist though. I will definitely throw 1 point into Eucharist instead of down here. That way I can self-interdict myself. Confession and stream unction don't really need unless I'm getting into a war with somebody. And the same thing with confirmation. Don't really need inquisitions except for quests unless you are in a faction that is actively at war. And then, of course, you will want to start throwing some points into there. But if you are neutral, it gives you the benefit of being able to focus on this stuff and just ranking this up so you can get as many faith points as possible. So that's our faith thing there. So let's see how we're doing here with our consumption. So food made per day, plenty. I've actually ranked it down to 1 so I can work on building up my ham here because I don't have enough ham to provide extra rations. Now, let's see, we've got 52 people here. I think this one might be a little bit easier. 32. No, it's not. Anyway, actually World 6 would be easier to show, but the one important thing, whether you're a farmer, whether you're a warrior, or whether you are a monk, is the consumption, is your popularity. Popularity is how you get peasants to recruit if you're a monk or a warrior. And of course, if you're a farmer, you need peasants in order to operate all your supply things here. So, every peasant that is in your village, as you can see here, I have 32 peasants in my village, 5 currently doing nothing but loafing. So 32 peasants altogether. Those 32 peasants consume food. And if you have ale, they will consume ale. So in order to keep them happy, you must make sure you provide enough food and enough ale for them to consume. Once you run out, of course, you will get no popularity points for that. So I've got a handy dandy chart that helps me determine how much stuff I need in each village. Now, again, it's only in your village if you have an army, such as I have here. Actually, I don't have an army in Theologian yet. I do have an army of 30 here, Terminia. Your army does not consume resources. So you do not need to factor in your army into any of the figures we're about to discuss. The only peasants that consume resources are the ones in your village. And this particular number here, 32, my capacity is 32. I have a total of 32 peasants consuming resources. So of course, every time you build a hovel and increase your housing capacity, you will need to increase your resources in order to take care of those peasants. And here, let's bring this over here, is our handy dandy chart. So ale consumed and food consumed per peasant. Again, this is straight vanilla, no cards. Of course, there are cards that affect consumptions and production rates. So low rations, let's get this here. So low rations, low ale rations and normal food rations, those are your basic rations. Of course, you can go 0 rations, and again, no popularity. And you can go half rations, you can go quarter rations, but that kinda, and how far can you go? No rations. That kinda ticks your people off. So normal rations, here we go. So per peasant, so if I have 1 peasant in my village, they will be drinking 24 mugs of ale per day. This is all per day, a 24-hour period. And that peasant will be consuming 300 units of food per day. So, again, if you go medium rations and double rations, just what it says, it doubles the consumption. So, 1 peasant, instead of drinking 24, will drink 48. He will consume 600. Again, high rations will triple the base rate, so instead of 24, they are consuming 72. Very high rations, which is your max, quadrupling that rate. So that's where we get our figure for 96. Again, times 4, 1 peasant will be consuming 1,200 units of food. Now, that's basically straight for ale there. So if I have 10 peasants, and I want to have very high ale rations, I will need to be producing, at minimum, 960 units of ale per day. So as you can see, I have that covered. So if I had only 10 peasants, they would be consuming, I could rank this up to quadruple rations, and they'd be consuming 960, and I would be making more than enough ale. As you can see, I have 32 peasants, so they are consuming a whole lot more. So they're consuming 768, and of course, if we do my little calculator here, so 32 peasants times 24 units mugs of ale, 768, as it shows here. So if I were to double ale rations, I know I would need to produce 1,536 units of ale per day. So I am currently short 436 units of ale. So if I wanted to bump up, make sure I could bump up to double ale rations, I know I now need 436 additional units of ale to be produced. So I could do this, and of course, since I don't have enough Since I don't have enough materials, it's not going to tell me. But again, as you've seen in previous videos, as we're placing stuff, when you're placing a building, it will tell you the amount of production it will produce at that particular spot if you plop it down that particular spot. So what we have here, this building produces 368, this building 363, and 368. So more than likely, if I were to plop it down here, I'd produce 368 units of ale. So we would add that to our current consumption, which would give us 1,463 units of ale. Oh, I got rid of my calculator, so let's do this. So what we're doing, 768 times 2 equals 1536 minus, oops, let's clear that. 1536 minus 1100. Again, we'd need to produce 436. So at most, the next one we plop down right here would produce 363. That's the wrong one, 363. So minus 363, we would still be short 73 units of ale. So you can do one of two things. Of course, if you are in a parish that has an ale bonus, that might not be a big of a deal. Right now we have no bonuses going to breweries, so this is the raw vanilla numbers. So if I wanted to double my ale rations, I would need to throw down 2 more breweries, and then that would cover me. And of course I would have to make sure I have enough free peasants. So right now I've got 5 free peasants, so throwing down 2 more breweries would allow me to double ale rations, and I would have no issue with that. So let's get back to the chart here. So that's ale, simply put. Now food is a little bit different because, as you may be aware, there are 6 different types of food that you can produce. So let's get over here. Here's our 6 different types of food: apples, cheese, meat, bread, vegetables, and fish. Now, of course, in a lowland, your basic village, you can produce 5. So at most, any one village can produce is 5, and lowland is it. Lowland is, I think, the only one that can actually produce all 5. Perhaps, I think plains might be able to do it too. They might not be able to do meat and plains, but in order to produce fish, you need one of the 2 river villages. So, not only does a peasant consume 300 units of food, that amount of consumption will be broken down further depending on how many types of food you're actually producing in your village. So here, if you only have apples being produced in your village, naturally that peasant will eat 300 apples. Now, if you are producing apples and cheese, what that peasant will do then will split his consumption equally among those 2 types. So if we're producing apples and cheese, the peasant will still be eating 300 units of food per day, but he will be eating 150 of each type. So he'll be eating 150 apples each day and 150 pieces of cheese each day. If we have bread, that's again broken down between the 3, so he will be consuming 100. If you have 4, he will be consuming 75 of each per day. If you have all 5 in your lowland, he will be consuming 60 of each type per day. So this is important to remember for configuring how much food production you're going to need. So the more types of food you have, the less you will need of each type in order to satisfy the peasant's consumption. So let's get back over here. I'll show what we've got here. Feed in. Let's pop on over to Terraminia. Since Terraminia has currently 4, so we've got our bread consumption. We are producing 12,000 per day. Pig farm, we are producing 5,000 per day. We're producing 11,000 cheese per day and 13,000 apples per day. So again, with our base normal rations, we have 52. Here we have 52 peasants. So 52 peasants, of course, each one of them consuming 300 units of food. That will equate to 15,600 units of food consumed per day, which of course we have here. 2 peasants, 15,600 eaten per day. We currently are producing 4 types of food in our village. So that consumption per day is broken down to, they will consume, those 50% peasants will consume 3,900 units of each type of food. So they are consuming 3,900 each peasant is consuming 3,900 apples per day, 3,900 cheese, 3,900 pieces of bread, and 3,900 legs of mutton, say. So if I want to ensure that my normal rations will satisfy my peasants, I need to make sure I have production for 3,900 in each food. So again, we have more than 3,900, we're good. More than 3,900, more than 3,900, more than 3,900. So again, we have our normal rations set and good to go. And we are, of course, producing extra. Now, of course, if I wanted to double our rations, I would simply double that number. So if I double our rations, our 52 peasants will then be consuming 31,200 total units of food. Broken down into 4 food types, that means they will now be consuming 7,800 units of each food type. So again, I could just do that too. 3,900 times 2, 7,800 units of food. So I have to make sure each of my bakeries are producing 7,800. So again, more than enough. Apples, am I producing 7,800? Yes, more than enough. Dairy farm, am I producing more than 7,800 units of cheese per day? Yes, more than enough. So these 3 food productions are doing more than enough to double our ale, or double our food rations. However, as you can see, now we have the problem. Our pig farm is only producing 5,000 per day. So that means our peasants will be eating more legs of mutton, or actually pig legs, I guess it is, since it is a pig farm. More ham steaks. They'll be eating more ham steaks than we actually produce. And thus I will eventually run out of ham steaks, and then I will no longer get credit for the ham steaks. I will be actually down to 3 units of food that my peasants are consuming. So this is where scouting will come in handy, to where you can go out and scout up the food you cannot produce, and that, by having those units of food, that automatically breaks down consumption here. So instead of consuming 7,800 units of food here, they'll actually be consuming, say 7,000 units of food, because they are also consuming the fish. Of course, once the fish runs out, they will be back to consuming 7,800 units of bread there. So that's additional ways that you can help control your food consumption. If you can scout and get all 6 types, then you need to only focus on making sure you have enough consumption for the rest that you can actually control and produce. But you have to watch, again, with bonuses and that kind of stuff. So without any bonuses at this point, and we have to build another pig farm. Let me see here. I should have enough. Actually, I've got one for peasant too. So if we do this, so here you go. 1,300. So what do we need? So we need 7,800 units. We are currently producing 5,011. So let's minus 5,011 equals. So we need to produce 2,789 more ham steaks in order to meet the demand of our peasants for double rations. So let's see. So what was that again? 2,700. So almost 3,000. So obviously 1,339 there, and we're getting further away, as you can see, from the ideal location. Is this better? So 1,597. So it's better there. So 1,597. So if I were to 1,584. So if I were to plop it down there, I would be producing 1,584, which is still a little bit short. So I would essentially, what I would need to do then is put down 2 more pig farms, before I would be able to produce enough ham steaks in order to double my rations. Now, the thing to remember is, the important thing to remember about consumption is that your peasants will automatically consume each of the food types you produce. So, even if I have more than enough bread, more than enough apples, more than enough cheese to actually double, say, as you can see here, in fact, if I double my capacity now, I am still producing more food, more total units of food than my peasants are eating. So I'm still not going to run out of food. The problem is, right here, food types fully eating. Once they consume the ham steaks that we have in storage right now, that will drop down to 3, which will, of course, drop down the popularity number. Because as you can see here, popularity results from rations. If you have all 6 types of food in your village, at normal rations, you will get 45 popularity points. So as you can see, we only have 4 food types. So at double rations, we are getting 35 popularity. So if I knock that back down to normal rations, 25. So with 4 food types, I'm getting 25 at normal, 35 at double, 45 at triple. So I would need, with 4 food types, I would need to triple my rations in order to get the same amount of popularity as I would at normal rations with 6 food types. So once that drops down to 3, I actually lose that 25 point bonus, and it will go down to 17 point bonus. Even though I have ham steaks that I'm not producing enough to meet the demand, so it no longer counts. And therefore, I will be getting less popularity. So, even though I am still producing more units of food than my peasants will consume at double rations, I am not producing enough of one of those types of food, so they will eventually eat through what we got, and I will lose the bonuses for having that village there. So, that's important to remember. Even though your total production per day may outweigh the consumption, you still need to focus on, you still need to keep in mind the individual production rate for each of the types and make sure you have enough to cover whatever the demand will be that you need. So that's consumption sort of there in a nutshell. So of course here I've also done taxes collected per peasant. So if I do normal tax, that's a minus 10 popularity, which we've got here, and minus 20 is a high tax. So let's see here. Right, high tax, oopsie. Let's do that, thanks. That's the button. So high tax, 22 popularity, but I am gaining 20 gold per peasant. Normal tax, 10 gold per peasant. So each peasant is basically worth 10 gold in taxes. And here, again, further breakdown for all the my main villages here. This is on USA 2. This here, where we are now, on USA 3. So here, if I wanted to quad, in fact, let me pause here and pop on over to USA 2. And then we can talk about our way around commas as well. Okay, here we are on USA 2. So USA 2, Tantanitis is 44 peasants, Theamosa and Trinitaria, all 44 peasants. Now, of course, Tantanitis, being a marshland, I can only produce 2 types within that village. I would need to scout or trade to gain more types. So basically what I've done here, if I want to quadruple the rate in Tantanitis, my 44 peasants will be consuming 52,000 units of food. So right now, of course, we are at normal rations. And again, producing only 2 food types, I have popularity of 11. So if those 44 peasants, so as you can see, 12,600 base, so if I were to quadruple that, boom, 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 50,000. Of course, I don't have a full village, so that's also something you've got to watch too. You want to always base the numbers off your maximum capacity, because of course once you recruit a peasant for either scouting or military, they stop acting as consumers, and you decrease the number of peasants in your village that are actually consuming things. So as you can see here, 42 peasants are consuming 50,400. So if I base off that number, and I managed to get to 50,400 of a production value. Once the next peasant arrives in 3 minutes, they will actually be consuming more than I am producing. That will be a problem in the long run. So when you're doing your food and ale consumption figures, you always want to make sure you're basing off your maximum capacity. And of course, another good way to control consumption is by continually recruiting peasants for your army or your scouts, what have you. But then again, that gets expensive. So here we are. Let's bump that back down to 1 so we don't eat too many of our supplies at the moment. So if I did want to quadruple it, I know that my overall capacity needs to be above 52,000 so I don't run out of food totally. But with the two types, they will be consuming 26,400 units of each type of food. So what we've got right now. Yeah, we're about 15,000 shy of apples and 12,000 shy of cheese. So that means I need to build a whole bunch of apple and cheese farms in order to meet the quadruple demand. And as such, that means, and of course, the further you get away from the granary, the less those things produce. So placing an apple farm here will produce the maximum amount. If at the point where I want to quadruple my rate right now, I might end up having to place one here. But placing one here might have half the production. So in order to get the same value production of this one, I would have to place 2 there. So essentially what this boils down to is that you will most likely have to be doing some research into farming or play production boosting cards in order to maintain high levels of rations if you're a theologian or a monk or a warrior, because you will have less research points in farming. So scouting will be important. If you're a farmer, you can basically most of your points will be going into research, so you can beef up production through research. If you're a warrior, well, I'm trying to say if you're a warrior or you're a monk, you're not going to have as many readily available research points for that, because your points are be going into your main focus as a warrior or as a monk. So what you will need to do is make sure, if you are a parish steward, that you're placing the guild buildings that will help beef up production and ranking them up. If you are not, you have to hope that whoever is steward is placing those buildings, and then everyone in the parish needs to work together to rank them up in order to boost, to get the bonuses like we have getting here. Get the bonuses. So basically this is essentially acting as free research points. So I'm getting a 30% boost to my stone quarry production without having to actually research anything. Again, the only thing you have to watch out for is, of course, in USA 2, at the change of every age, everything gets wiped out, so you lose all that bonus. So you have to make sure you're prepared for the end of the age, unlike myself, to make sure you have enough production to cover all your peasants at higher rates of consumption. So as a warrior and a monk, you want to make sure you either have some cards to play or are ranking up the guild buildings. Or if you are high enough rank, such as myself, to where here, this is my military server. Again, Castellation is maxed, diplomacy is maxed, defenses are maxed, fortification is maxed, my command is almost maxed, a lot of my points are going here, my pikemen, my archers are maxed. I got enough scouts to tide me over for now. Again, my horsemanship is maxed. So I've got most of my military research to the point to where it's effective enough for me. I just have to build up my armies. So what I can be doing now at this point, where I am one of the upper ranks, I can start throwing a few extra points here to help me boost my own production and be less reliant on having to play cards or having to rank up the parish guild buildings. So that comes in very handy. But again, that's something, I basically had to wait until high rank here to make sure I had my military, which was my main focus on this server, ranked up. So that is that. So again, now if I wanted to double here, so I could actually, this is based off of quadruple, so if I have this 13,200, if I want to go double rations, they will be consuming 13,200 apples per day and 13,200 units of cheese. So let's take a look. Apple production is, I am 2,200 shy. Cheese production, 13,200. So right now I have enough cheese production going on. So I need how many? I need 2,100, right? 2,100, right? 13,200. So 13,200. So I need 2,200 essentially. Let me double check my math here. I was never very good at math. So 13,200 minus 11,040. So essentially, yes, I need 2,160. So let's take a look at our apple orchards here. So I throw that there, 1,200, so I need 2,100. That still leaves me about 900 shy. Of course, I don't want to put it there because I can actually throw a stone quarry there. So again, you have to watch to where you're running into your available production areas here. So if I were to throw that down, that apple farm would actually not fit there. If I throw the apple farm down there, my stone quarry would not fit. So I will have to find a different place for my apples. Again, that will affect production. So what did I say I needed? 13,000. I needed 2,160. I needed 2,160. So if I throw it down there, that's 1138. So it means I need just over 1,000 more. So I will need to basically place 2 more apple farms. So if I do 1138 there, I need just over 1,000. Will it fit there? So basically, if I throw it down there, that gives me what I need. So I can throw this guy down there, this guy down there. This guy actually gives me more. So to start off with, so I can throw that down there. And in 2 hours and 14 minutes, I will be able to build my next apple farm. Of course, if I had a premium token, I could throw the other one down there. And then, so once I build my other apple farm, I will actually be able to finally beef this up to double rations. And so there is consumption in an extended nutshell. So real quick here, before the end here, you can see here in education we have commerce. Commerce gives you the right to buy and sell at different markets. You can trade within your same county, your province, your country, and trade worldwide. So basically, once you research commerce, once you research merchants, by default, you can trade with your own parish capital. You cannot trade to sell to anything else. As you can see, that's grayed out there. I click that, I can trade. So if I go in the trade screen, so there's 2 different ways to trade here. You can trade with villages. It's Tantonitis, so I can send supplies to Tantonitis at no cost to either village. And I can do this, you can do this with other players as well. So this is how you trade between your own villages or other players. You would just have to go into the main screen, pick the player you want to trade with, and then send it to this village. The exchange here is how you actually buy and sell from your parish supply exchanges. So here, Blue Hill, so I can sell or buy here. Now, if I were to do to my neighbor here at Monument Rocks, it would tell me sell stone. Too far away to trade with. That is because I do not have commerce researched yet. So county, allows you to trade within the same county here, the county of North New Mexico. So if I were to research county, I could trade anywhere within North New Mexico. If I were to rank up to 2, province would be anywhere within New Mexico. So if I were to rank that up, I could trade to central, south, as well as north. The next one would be country, right? Where are we with merchants? Next one is country. That point, I can trade anywhere in New Mexico, Texas, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. Country would be greater Texas. So it would be actually, yeah, not Utah, Colorado would be Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So country would be there. And then, of course, the last one, I could trade anywhere in the world. Well, that is for buying and selling. However, a neat little trick here, if you are, this is especially helpful if you are a steward, and like me, you need supplies. You can trade your excess supplies to your parish capital just like you do a village. So here, Tantanize, I could trade to Teutonius, or I can trade to Blue Hill. Now, this is just like sending supplies to either one of your other parish villages or to another player. You're simply sending it to the parish capital. Now, you can do this whether you are a steward or not. So if I need stone, I can send my excess stone to Blue Hill. I get, again, this is like trading, so you get no gold for it, but you are at least able to supply the stockpile of your parish, which is accessible here. So I will eventually, if I were to trade that 6,000 stone, this would beef it up to 6,500. I can go in there, this would tell me 6,500, and then I can continue to build. Now, generally speaking, again, you can do the same trading as you do with the exchanges, and you can do that the same way. I could send this to Monument Rocks, but as you can see here, that's grayed out. So, because I don't have research commerce, or I don't have commerce researched. So if I had commerce researched, then I would be able to do the same thing to Monument Rocks. However, there's a way to do this without actually researching commerce at all. So, you go into the trade window, you go here, and basically this acts just like you're trading with any village. So, what I can do now, again, of course you can't trade anything but the basic stuff here. So, if I wanted to send now, as you can see, if I were to go here, Monument Rocks again, if I wanted to trade iron, I cannot. However, if I do this, I go to iron. So let's say I want to send 200 iron to my parish in Monument Rocks. Boom. Look at that. Trader is on the way. I do not have research commerce. So that's a little way around commerce, having to research commerce in order to supply a parish. So let's say my village here is here. So let's say I am a steward in Mesa Verde, and I have a village down here in Kirtland where I am not a steward, and so I want to get my supplies here to Mesa Verde. That's all I would do. So let's just say I am not steward here in Blue Hill, so I want to send my excess supplies to where I am steward here in Monument Rocks. That's a quick and easy way to get it around without having to research it. Now, of course, if I wanted to go through the exchange, there's actually no way to get past that exchange thing. So if I actually wanted to sell those supplies to Monument Rocks, I would then have to research commerce. But a quick and easy way to send supplies to any parish worldwide, you just do it from this screen here, and do it from that tab, and it's basically just like you're sending it to one of your other villages or another player without having to research commerce at all. And let's see where we're at here. Oh yes, lots of diplomacy again, as you can see. Wolf's attack. Oh, where do we have the wolf? So there you go. Those are our tips and tricks. If we can think of anything else. Oh, great. Great, great, great. Now have the wolf in Cortez, which means probably negative popularity. Oh, no, I'm not. Shooey, that's close. Close, 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 close. We're good. See, if I double that, I am just making it. Good, 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 good. So, let's check our production. Well, that's only because I don't have maximum amount of peasants. So, 56 peasants in Teutonius. So let's do it this way. 56 peasants in Teutonius. Actually, I don't even need. I don't need to do it that way because this just need to 67,200 divided by 2. So they'll be eating 33,600. So obviously, as you can see, even though I am beating production or beating demand, exceeding demand right now, as soon as those other peasants arrive, I will no longer be doing so. So I am going to have to do something about that. 3 food types eaten, of course, since I don't have ham researched. It's only bread, cheese, and apples. So 22,400 divided by 2. So I need to make sure each food type is producing 11,200. So we are about 2,500 shy there, 2,600 shy there, 2,200 shy there, and so basically just cheese and apples we need. We have enough bread at this point in time. So let me see here where our consumption is at. So as you can see now, already that one peasant that just arrived pushed us over the limit. Boom. And of course, as peasants arrive, it's going to knock down our housing bonus, so we will eventually lose that and go into negative popularity. Not good. So I am actually going to have to work on boosting up our production here. And I think for that I will actually play a card here. Let's see. Basic culture. Harvesting. Small increase in bread output. No. Pretty sure I've got one that gives us boost simple fees, increased popularity from rations. I only got one of those for 6 hours. That's not going to help. Tired farmer. Only got one of those. 6 hours quadruple production. Veteran farmer, here we go. Small long boost, yeah. Double for 6 hours. So I could actually play that card and it'll boost up production. What I'm going to have to do is just start building some more stuff. So for right now, we are going to double that just so we don't go into negative popularity and start building some more apple and cheese farms. And of course, we're going to need peasants in order to, in fact, let me turn that off. Let me turn all off. Let me turn all off. Turn all off. So as you can see, I'm actually going to have to build another hovel in order to get enough peasants to meet production. So there you go. There's the strategy in that. In order to meet production of certain things, in order to keep your popularity up, you need to build more hovels, which increases your production. So you can see it's actually a very strategic building game when you get into the nitty-gritty of it. So since I'm already at max capacity for, maybe not, so I don't really need weapons at this point, so that's why we turn those off. I actually can turn that off at some point, but when you're at max capacity for weapons, I can turn those off and send my peasants elsewhere. But anyway, that's for our part 2 of tips and tricks. If we can think of anything else, we'll come up with a part 3. That's really the basics of what gets you going here. Again, we went through the military ranking, what we did here. So this is where I'm at for military at this point. So give you some idea of where you want to put your points if you're going to be a warrior at this point. So this is BJ Waller saying thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you. Ooh, I got something to scout in game. Boom, ba boom, ba boom.